Ever get the feeling that something's off, but you can't quite put your finger on it? Like life is too smooth, too well scripted, like it's all just a little too real? What if that feeling isn't just paranoia, but a sign, a crack in the illusion? Because here's the truth, most people never even consider: the more real life feels, the more likely it's a trick of the mind. Yeah, I said it. The mind doesn't show you reality, it constructs it. It's not revealing the truth, it's selling you a story, and you've been buying it since the day you were born. We trust our senses without question. We believe what we feel, what we see, what we remember. But what if all of that is just perception filtered through an unconscious machine, one that's been running scripts on repeat for years? You think you're awake, but you might just be inside the most convincing dream of all. And the ego, it's the narrator, constantly explaining, labeling, defending a you that doesn't even exist the way you think it does. But let's not jump too far ahead. First, we need to talk about the most dangerous kind of illusion, the one that feels familiar, the one you don't question because it's always been there, the patterns, the roles, the names. What if the most comforting parts of your reality are actually the bars of your cage? Let's begin there. Let's take a closer look at the illusion of the familiar. 1. The illusion of the familiar. He wakes up and does the same thing every day. Same coffee, same route, same thoughts, and somehow it feels safe. That's the trick. The more something repeats, the more the mind labels it as true. But repetition doesn't prove truth, it just builds comfort. And comfort makes questioning feel dangerous. This is how the illusion begins, through the hypnotic rhythm of the familiar. Every object has a name, every face a label, every idea a category. But none of these were chosen, they were given. A child learns the world not by discovery, but by instruction. That's a tree, that's your name. That's how life works. And because it's repeated enough times, it becomes a fact. But facts born from repetition aren't necessarily real. They're just well-rehearsed illusions of understanding. Think about how many of your beliefs are truly yours. Most people don't notice how much of their identity is made of echoes from other voices. Parents, teachers, ads, society. They all repeat their versions of reality until it sticks. That repetition is so constant, it feels like truth. And perception, shaped by this constant narrative, becomes more about familiarity than actual awareness. Here's a simple exercise. For one day, name nothing. Look at everything as if you'd never seen it before. Don't call it a tree, just see it. Don't assume you know that person, just notice them. This disrupts the loop. It breaks the spell of the familiar. And in that small crack, something unexpected begins to slip through. Something that isn't based on memory or habit. Something real, or at least something less fake. 2, you never see what's actually there. We think we're seeing the world as it is, but we're not. We're seeing a version filtered through the lens of the brain, layered with assumptions and predictions. Perception isn't raw input, it's interpretation. That's why two people can witness the exact same event and describe it in completely different ways. What they're really describing isn't the event, it's their own mind. The brain deletes, adds, and distorts constantly, but it does it so fast you'd never know. And so, we move through life hallucinating consistency, assuming it's reality. Your eyes aren't cameras. They don't just record what's in front of you. Instead, they send fragmented information to the brain, which then guesses what's out there. It fills in the blanks with memories, expectations, and context. This is why optical illusions work. It's why you can miss something completely obvious, like in that gorilla experiment, where half the people didn't notice someone in a costume walk across the screen. Perception is useful, but it's not reliable. And what's scarier is that we rarely notice the gap between what's there and what we think is there. Take a moment to consider how often you rely on perception without question. You trust your feelings about people, your sense of time, even your memories. all built on fragile, shifting interpretations. Someone frowns, and your brain might decide they're angry at you, when in truth, they're just thinking about dinner. A delay in someone's message feels like rejection, when it could be nothing. This constant guessing game shapes the illusion we call reality, and most of it happens below the surface of conscious thought. Try this as a practice. For 1 hour, narrate everything you see as if you were seeing it for the first time. Don't assume anything, just describe it. Notice how quickly the mind wants to label, judge, categorize, catch it, question it. By doing this, you slow down the automatic process. You start to see how much of your awareness is actually assumption. And when you realize you never really see what's there, you'll naturally begin to question what else has been imagined. 3. Your memories are fake, but convincing. Every memory you have is a story your mind tells, again and again, with subtle edits. The problem is, we trust those stories like gospel, but memory isn't a file stored in the brain, it's a reconstruction. Each time you recall an event, you actually rewrite it. Emotions shift, details bend, and your brain doesn't save the original version, it saves the new one. So the more you remember something, the less accurate it becomes. And yet, we base so much of our identity on these fragile recollections. Think about arguments you've had. 2 people walk away from the same conversation with 2 different versions of what happened. Why? Because memory isn't recording, it's interpreting. Neuroscience has proven this over and over. Our memories are shaped by beliefs, current emotions, and even the suggestions of others. This is why eyewitness testimonies are so unreliable. You're not remembering the truth, you're remembering your mind's version of it. And if your perception is an illusion, then your memory is a dream retold. This explains why past pain still haunts people. It's not that the pain is real anymore. It's that the memory has been relived so many times, it keeps hurting now. The ego feeds on those loops, saying, "This is who you are, this happened to you." But it's not honest. The story has changed. You've changed. Yet the illusion of a fixed past keeps dragging the present down. Break that loop, and you break part of the illusion. Awareness of memory's unreliability is the beginning of real emotional freedom. Here's something practical. Pick a powerful memory, good or bad, and write it down in detail. Then ask someone else who shared that moment what they remember. Compare. You'll be shocked. And more importantly, you'll see how much your mind added or omitted to fit your personal narrative. This simple exercise cracks open the belief that the past is solid. Once you feel how malleable memory is, you start to wonder, if the past can be rewritten this easily, then how much of you is actually real? 4. The mind doesn't think, it recites. Most people believe they are the thinker of their thoughts. But try to predict your next thought. You can't. It just appears. You didn't choose it, summon it, or craft it. It showed up uninvited, like a notification from an app you never downloaded. This is the disturbing truth. The mind doesn't really think. It just plays back recordings, conditioned patterns, old conversations, echoes of parents, teachers, influencers, fears. And because it happens in your head, the ego takes ownership and calls it me. You might be driving and suddenly remember something embarrassing from 5 years ago. You didn't ask for that thought, it just appeared. That's not free will, that's programming. The mind is like a jukebox stuck on shuffle. You press nothing, yet it keeps playing. And what's worse, we react to these tracks as if they're fresh, as if they're meaningful. But most of them are stale loops, mental reruns, and until you see this clearly, perception remains locked inside illusion, replaying the same narrative. So how do you break the pattern? First, stop trying to control your thoughts. Instead, observe them. Notice what themes show up the most. Are they fears, regrets, control fantasies? Then trace them back. Where did they come from? Whose voice do they echo? When you start mapping these thought patterns, you'll quickly realize how little of them actually come from you. The awareness of that difference between what arises and what you actually choose is your first taste of mental freedom. Try this. Take 5 minutes each morning to sit and write down every thought that comes up without filtering. Just let it spill, then read it back like a stranger's journal. You'll be surprised how absurd, repetitive, or irrelevant most of it is. This exercise exposes how the mind recites rather than creates. It helps you separate the voice of habit from the voice of truth. And once you see the difference, you begin to wonder who or what has really been running the show this whole time. 5. The self is a mask that believes it's a face. Ask someone, "Who are you?" and you'll usually hear a job title, a personality trait, a past experience. But those aren't who you are. They're just things that happened. The truth is, most people don't have a self. They have a story, a bundled narrative stitched together by memory, shaped by repetition, and narrated by the ego. And the ego? It clings to the illusion of control because the idea of not existing terrifies it. So it builds a mask and forgets it's wearing one. This mask is reinforced every day. I'm not good with people. I've always been anxious. That's just the way I am. These are statements we tell ourselves, but they're not facts, they're scripts. Scripts inherited from childhood, media, culture, trauma, and over time, they harden into identity. But if your sense of self was built by someone else's perception, is it really you? Or is it just a well-polished illusion? The ego doesn't care. It just wants consistency. Even if that consistency keeps you small, you can test this illusion. Think about who you were 5 years ago. Same fears, same habits? Probably not. So if the self keeps changing, then what's constant? The answer isn't a thing. It's a space. The space of awareness behind all the roles. That's what's watching. That's what notices the ego's performance but doesn't get caught in it. When you start watching the mask instead of acting through it, something incredible happens. The mask starts slipping, and behind it, there's nothing but peace. Here's a bold experiment. For 1 week, stop using the words "I am" followed by a label. No more "I'm tired" or "I'm not good at that." Instead, describe the experience. There is tiredness. There is uncertainty. This tiny shift pulls you out of identity and into presence. It removes the mask, even for a moment, and when the mask drops, you see the illusion for what it is. You were never the face. You were the mirror, and maybe you still are. 6. Waking life is a consistent dream. In dreams, nothing feels fake. You're flying, someone long gone is talking to you, the world bends, and it all makes sense while you're inside. But when you wake up, the illusion vanishes. The strange part is, waking life operates almost the same way. It feels coherent because the mind keeps narrating a consistent story. It predicts the next moment based on the last. And as long as it flows smoothly, we don't question it. That's not awareness. That's a dream running on autopilot. The only real difference between a dream and waking life is continuity. Dreams are fragmented and life seems linear. But even that's a stretch. Ask someone to recall their day, and they'll struggle with the details. Hours go missing, emotions distort time, events blend together. That solid reality is just another illusion, stitched together by the brain to create a functional timeline. It works, but that doesn't mean it's true. It's just consistent enough to feel real. And perception mistakes consistency for truth. Sometimes the cracks show. Déjà vu. Time moving too fast. An unshakable sense that something's off. These are not glitches in the system, they're reminders. Waking up inside the dream starts with noticing its seams. Just like lucid dreaming begins when you realize you're dreaming, waking up in life begins with awareness that you're not. You're just watching a thought loop play out in high resolution with full emotional investment. But who's the one watching? Here's something to try. Throughout the day, ask yourself, am I dreaming? Not metaphorically, literally. Look at your hands. Question the moment. It sounds strange, but it trains the mind to interrupt the loop. Over time, you'll start noticing subtle distortions, emotional reactivity, time gaps, shifting self-image. These are entry points. They're invitations to step out of the dream, not into another fantasy, but into awareness itself. And the moment that happens, the illusion starts unraveling from the inside. 7. What remains when you stop believing? Strip away your beliefs, your opinions, your memory. Who's left? Most people avoid this question because it leads straight into a kind of silence the ego can't survive in. And that's exactly the point. Every illusion of self, of control, of reality is built on belief. When belief fades, illusion fades. But something strange happens in the absence of belief. There's still awareness, still a quiet, effortless noticing, and that can't be faked. It's not thought, it's not perception, it's not ego, it's just presence. This is the space that remains when the mind shuts up. No labels, no roles, no interpretations, just a direct experience of what is. Some people touch this in deep meditation, others glimpse it during a trauma, a moment of awe, or even deep fatigue, when the mental chatter dies down. And what they all report is the same, a profound peace. Not because everything made sense, but because they stopped needing it to. The illusion dissolved, and what was left didn't need a name. Try something today. Sit still, close your eyes, and don't try to be spiritual. Don't chase silence. Just notice everything that happens without grabbing it. Let the thoughts pass like cars on a highway. Don't follow, don't fight, don't believe. What remains isn't emptiness. It's the fullness that was always there, hidden under the noise. This is awareness, unfiltered. It doesn't arrive. You just stop covering it with noise. The more you see it, the more you realize it's been there the whole time. The ego hates this, by the way. It will pull tricks to get you back. This is boring. This isn't doing anything. You should be productive. Those thoughts, that's the illusion fighting for survival. Don't believe them. Just watch. If you go far enough, you'll start noticing how often belief is just fear in disguise, fear of not knowing, fear of letting go. But the moment you stop believing the voice, the moment you truly stop listening, you'll discover something that no belief ever gave you: freedom.